Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Dean Callan Show. Today, I have a very special episode for you. If Boris can get out of traffic. If not, I'm going to be standing here tasting, well, what can only be described as some of the best wines in the world. We're going to be talking about sherry today, which I'm sure is going to make Diogo very happy because Diogo, you requested this, buddy. And it's actually worked out very well for me. I'm not going to lie. I'm pretty pumped about this. So at the moment, we have Boris in a car driving at a top pace. So I'm picturing him driving with the kind of gusto that you've seen in the car chase scene from the movie Heat. Was it Heat? I think it was Heat. No, maybe it wasn't Heat. But there was a movie and they drove really fast. Anyway, that's what I'm picturing. I think it was in France. I can't remember. Anyway, I'm gonna hope he makes it, and then we can call him as we did Mitch last time. I'd like to apologize for going for an hour and a half. I honestly got so comfortable that I forgot myself and Mitch were like live. Completely. I don't even remember what I said. So sorry. It went for a really long time. But you know what? It was that was us catching up. I hadn't spoken to him for like 3 days. So I'm going to start with a Pina Colada, right? Get myself excited, get some energy going. So Pina Colada, you start with a blender. Whoa. Did you hear that? That is weird. Wait, let me rearrange this so I can see what people are doing. All right. Yay. All right, cool. So, start with this jobby. And good morning, Joe. Good morning, Diogo. How you doing, guys? Excited for this? So, little pinch of salt. I'm going to put that in the bottom so it has a bit of a time to dissolve. And this is sea salt. It looks shitty, but it was the only sea salt we could get when we bought this. So, it got relegated out to the cabin. I do this drink by weight. I drank a whole bunch of them back in the day. In fact, this very drink was the official cocktail of my wedding. Now, for anyone that was at my wedding, they will understand that my wedding was the greatest time of my life, right? Like, new times are coming along that are really, really cool. Like, spending time with Electra and Little Man is, like, super cool. I am going to change the units here. Right. I need just a tiny bit more. Yeah, so the times I've spent with Electra and Axel, they've been really, really good. But that wedding, we were in the hills of Tuscany, 5 days, chilling out, drinking sherry, drinking rum, drinking whiskey. Like, honestly, we brought 135 bottles of high proof alcohol and then 18 bottles of Tio Pepe and Rama, which in Rama, I think it's in Rama. Yeah, well, the organic version of the Tio Pepe. Well, it's all organic. I don't know. There's a different version. It's like a special version, comes from like the dude's bedroom or whatever. I'm not really good at retaining all the information needed to present stuff, but it tastes really, really good. If you get a chance, buy a bottle of Tio Pepe and Rama. It's special. Right, so we want 4.5 ounces of super juicy pineapple. Basically, if you pick up a pineapple and it looks like it's completely mature, all the eyes are like equal sizes, and when you hold the pineapple, compared to other pineapples of equal size, you want a heavier one. You can also squeeze in the eyes a little bit, and you should be able to smell floral bouquet of pineapple. You don't want it to not smell of anything. If it doesn't smell of anything, it's not pineapple. It's not real ripe pineapple. 4.5 ounces. Now, 2 ounces of Gonzalez BS Tio Pepe. This is the original stuff. Got my brand new matte black jigger. Oh yeah, loving that. I put a little tiny dash more just because I can. It's my drink. I'm going to have it my way. I put a couple of dashes of Angostura bitters. 1, 2 dashes. A tiny squeeze of lime. Look, the lime is optional. But if you get good, fresh, kind of, I guess, floral pungent limes, like you can smell the lime flavor, it adds a lot to the drink. It's not just about adding sourness, but the sourness, it helps, because this drink was created when I was working in a tiki bar, like 11 years ago now. Whew, I'm getting old fast. It's like every year you get older faster, and you don't, there's no way to describe it, but it definitely feels like time is speeding up. Right, one of these. Actually, I might just put this into a shaker. It's not worth messing about with. But we want 3/4 of an ounce of Coco Lopez, or you can use Coco Real if you want, but pinch of salt, 3/4 ounce of Coco Lopez, 4.5 to 5 ounces, depending on how juicy they are, of fresh pineapple chunks, and then 2 ounces of Tio Pepe. Oh, I love this stuff, right? I have an ultimate sweet tooth. So like, I'm just gonna get all the creamy goodness. Oh, right. Love it. Just love it. Put this aside for later. I'm gonna make another one of these before the show is finished. And then you want 3.5 ounces of dry cold ice. So for this, I'm gonna take a chunk. Nope, that's way too big. Let me see. I probably should have done this beforehand. Measuring out all the ice and everything. Tear this guy off. 0. This scale's actually quite handy. Oh yeah, bang on, 3.9. So that's one of those ones. This ice has come to me thanks to Ice Studio London. So I'm able to get exact sizes, and now I know what size I need, if I don't lose it all, for my Pina Coladas. Right? I don't want to just whack that in the blender. Fuck it. I might just do that. It'll heat up. It'll get blitzed. This thing's insane. I'm going to put it on crush ice mode first. Does its own thing. Right, so while that is chopping away, I'm going to check to see what has happened with our man Boris. He's ready. He's ready, ladies and gentlemen. All right, let's give him a call. Come on, Boris. Hello.
Oh, yes.
Yay.
Hello.
How you doing, Boris?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. How are you?
I'm very well,
you
thanks.
Making beautiful Pina Colada.
You've got the show on, right?
Yep.
Happy days. Right, so without any further, how's your day been? How was the traffic? What happened?
It was a huge car crash, and basically on top of the already heavy traffic jam, I just got stuck.
Oh,
Luckily,
man.
I'm here and I made it with a short delay, but I'm here, which is most important thing.
Well, honestly, I'm so glad that you made it, because my knowledge is kind of like, I know I've been to Gonzales BS. I know I've hung out in Jerez, but basically the whole time people are talking, I'm absorbing the information, but I'm just like, when do we get to the tasting? When do we get to the tasting? When do we get to the tasting? You know, I'm equally listening, and I'm excited. So the excited child part of me kind of overrules. So I basically, my knowledge is like Palomino Fino, like Palomino grapes, and then Pedro Jimenez grapes,
yep.
and then Palomino grapes, and then a mix of the two, which is, I think
correct.
It's like, is this one, the 1847 is 75? No.
1847, yes, correct. Is 75% Oloroso or 100% Palomino Fino and 25% of Pedro Jimenez, correct.
Okay, and the Palo Cortado is still Palomino Fino, but something went wrong and they struck it off? It got kicked out of the club?
Palo Cortado, Yeah, correct. Palo Cortado supposed to be Fino, so basically it's the most mysterious sherry, which in bottom line was created as a mistake because, of course, it was the first press, only the first extraction of 25% of the finest juice which you can get, which we are usually using only for Fino or Tio Pepe. And basically, back in the then, back in 1800s, winemakers didn't have any equipment or a measuring system how to measure level of alcohol. And what happened? It's they done everything by the nose.
Yeah.
So in order to create Palomino Fino, which alcohol level cannot be over 16% ABV, they fortified by mistake 16.1, 16.2. Because what they did
Okay.
after fermentation, they smelled the alcohol and they said, like, okay, cool, this is 11% ABV. They took brandy, they fortified to 15.5%. However, by mistake, they fortified 16.1 and 16.2% when the floor of the yeast cannot be reproduced on the surface
So the floor
of the
died.
wine. Yeah, so basically when they fill the barrel, they close it, came back a few months later in order to check floor of the yeast. They didn't find anything. And
Okay.
since day one until today, we are marking barrels with the chalk. And literally the dash represents the fino. And they cross it with cortado because in Spanish, palo cortado, it means spoiled wine. However, after checking all the barrels, they realize, oh, bloody hell, we have so many barrels which are spoiled wine. What are we going to do with this? Because it's the most gentle and delicate must, only those first 20% of extraction of the juice of the grapes. What are we going to do with this must?
Yeah.
Let's add more brandy and let's try to age it oxidative way. So without the floor of yeast, and let's see what happens. And then another question is like, how we will then make the difference between Oloroso and Palo Cortado then, because both of them will be, aged in oxidative way. So we usually fortifying Palo Cortado more than Oloroso.
Okay.
And literally, so you can see on the bottles of Oloroso, which you have there, Alfonso is 18% ABV, Palo Cortado is 20. So it's usually stronger ABV content,
Okay, nice.
just because juice is much more delicate because it's the first press.
So it needs
and
more strength for protection to
Yeah,
go through the
correct.
oxidizing. Okay, that's
Yeah,
really cool.
correct.
So yeah, as you can imagine, I would have been like, this was one of the A students who got kicked out of school because they, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's where my brain went. So I related to Palo Cortado more because I was like, I was doing really well in school, and then suddenly I wasn't doing really well in school. You know, like the floor was pulled out from underneath me, and then
Yep.
the Oloroso Seco. I don't know, Alfonso, what the
Alfonso, basically, each of our expression we give a name. It's either a name of the Spanish royal family, because of course Gonzalez family and the Spanish royal family are going way back to late 1800s when
really?
we started. Yeah, because honestly, Gonzalez Bias is not just well known in a wine and spirits world, but of course, since day one, they've been helping to build the infrastructure of the Spain. I can say our winery, which is Bodega Tio Pepe down in Jerez, basically, it was the second winery in Spain with electricity and running tap water in the
Yeah, I
winery.
remember that. And they kept one of the rooms. That's the one I went to, right? They kept one of the rooms in mint condition, like.
Yep.
Yeah, it's crazy. All right.
What's your favorite, actually, Dean?
Man, I'm not
Speaking of
gonna
which,
lie. Like, it depends on my mood, right? So it's
Yeah.
like whiskey. Like I like young whiskeys that are vibrant. You can mix into cocktails, but
Yeah.
sometimes I want to drink one of the top shelf Balvenis, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of
Now,
course.
my go-to is the younger whiskeys that like boom, mix it into a Manhattan, make it into a Boulevardier. So for me, it's Tio Pepe, right? Like I
Brilliant.
just think it is one of the most underrated wines in the world. I don't understand how more people aren't. You know, do you remember?
100%.
Do you remember years ago when well, a long time ago, 15, 16 years ago, there was this sudden discovery of vermouth, and in particular Carpano Antica Formula. Like, and everyone was like, Antica Formula is the greatest thing.
Yeah.
At that same time, I was loving Antica Formula, but I mean, I was already a massive fan of Tio Pepe because again, to cut back to this, I knew that it needed to be consumed, right? I knew that
Yeah,
you can't just
100%.
let it go off in the fridge; it'll die, and you won't have that
Yeah.
fresh, vibrant, clear color. So I kept drinking it because if I'm going to drink on shift, which I did all the time, not so much anymore. I don't do any shifts. That's probably the biggest
Yeah.
reason. Then I'm going to drink the stuff that otherwise will get thrown out, right?
Yeah, correct.
So
Yeah,
it makes,
that's what I do. Yeah.
in my brain, it made sense, and that's how the Pina Colada came about, which you've already tasted, right? We've made loads of these for people.
We made together the Pina Coladas in House of Blues, or no, it was the
2017.
Cane and Table, I think, in
Oh,
either of these years in Tales of Cocktails. And Dean, honestly, not because I'm talking to you right now, which you are creator of Pina Colada, which is for me the best version of Pina Colada. I never been fan of Pina Coladas for one real simple reason. It's just far too sweet, right?
yeah.
So I don't like really cocktails which I cannot have more than two, because if I like some cocktail, I would like to enjoy it for more than just one beverage, one glass. Pina coladas, you have a more than two, and you feel stuffed, tired, because you are like overwhelmed yourself with the sugars and such.
Sugar
Pina
and
colada is just fantastic. I can see you spotted absolutely right because you're enjoying it well, right?
Oh. So this is how it's meant to look, the Pina Colada. It's not meant to be a blended thing. It's not meant to have too much sugar. Man, I love this drink. Right, so
Amazing.
I'm gonna clear my mouth out with some Fino. And what I think would be the best thing for people, if I get some good questions coming through, I'll try to shoot them your way.
Please do.
I think if you can tell me what bottle to bring up next, I'll have a little taste of it, because I mean, I'd like to have a taste of it. And then if you could just give me the 30-second, this is the grape variety, this is like the kind of flavor profile we go for, and this is what we would match it with or use it with. You're able to do that? Because you sent me a breakdown of the sherries, which I think, honestly, I want to share that presentation with the guys from the WSET Spirit class.
This presentation I sent you earlier last week, it's one of the best, simplest, and really straightforward presentation you can find on the market. 100%.
It's in depth, man. It's unbelievable. I started looking at it and started reading through it, and I thought, you know what people need on the show, instead of going too deep, just the quick, this is what this is the style, this is the flavor, right? So if they were to watch the show, they could know which one they might want to taste based 100%. on our presentation, right? So what are we going to start with?
Before we go, I would just like to mention sherry, of course, needs to be in Spain, in Andalusia, in Sherry Triangle, which is basically area protected by Dio Jerez, bordering between three cities, which is Sanlúcar de Barrameda, city really well known for its manzanilla, so it's like Fino style sherry, but from the seaside region, so it will be slightly lighter, much more saltier because of its location. Second city, it's Jerez de la Frontera, which is the mainland city, hometown of González Bias, and the last one is El Puerto de Santa Maria. So those three cities bordering the area can produce only three style of the grapes, or can use only three style of the grapes for production of the sherry, which is Palomino Fino, represents 90% of the production, Pedro Jimenez, which we will taste later on, and then Moscatel. Moscatel, we don't really play around, but we are starting to apply into production. But in terms of defining the style of the sherries, because of course, fortified category, it's what it is. You make a regular wine and fortification, so with additional alcohol. In our case, is the brandy, which is made based on same grapes like we create the sherries. So it's Palomino Fino grape. We fortify the sherries, and there are two main factors in the sherry world, which is the biological aging. Is the aging which represents 100% Fino, so Tio Pepe, is the aging under the floor of the yeast, is this bacteria, this fungus, which is not just protecting the sherry or wine, but it's also giving its extra flavors. Second style of the aging is oxidative.
Can I just quickly say, So in that first style of aging, where you said that the aging happens under a floor, for people that don't
Yep.
already know, my best way to describe a floor is if you cut the barrel in half and you look at a barrel, it you have a liquid, and then on top of it you have what looks like a layer of fat. It looks like
Yeah,
it kind of
correct.
looks like a layer of white kind of lard or something like that, right?
It's like rusty kind of like bacteria, but it's good bacteria because when
Yeah.
I'm describing, yeah, we have this bacteria leaning on the on the surface of the wine, it's like bacteria or fungus, and it doesn't sound good. No, it's basically good bacteria reaction between the three factors, which is acetaldehyde, the sugars. I'm sitting with the dogs in the room. Sorry. So it's basically chemical reaction between oxygen, acetaldehyde, and glycerin,
Okay.
and residual sugars coming from as a leftovers from fermentation and fortification. This is the single molecule bacteria, and then it's multiplying and multiplying, and it's this layer of the thin crust, which is covering, protecting the wine, but also giving a lot. And that's why, for example,
Am I
because it's
correct
the
in
living
saying
organ. Yep.
this one hasn't touched the air?
This one, now when you open the bottle, it's the very first time the wine touched the air, which is absolutely outstanding.
That's why I'm opening another bottle.
Yep.
Just so I can do that. Ready?
So basically, when you open the bottle, you can see that the first breath is like when
You
the
can hear
child
it.
born.
All right. Okay, so sorry to interrupt you, but you were just at the
No,
part. There's the crust on top, the floor, and that's that's your fino. And then the next one was
Amontillado. Amontillado is the category which is sitting between those two style of the agings, which is the biological, so under the floor of the yeast, and oxidative, of course, in contact with oxygen. Amontillado is the style of the sherry which is the most beautiful style sherry because it shows you what is aging of both style in one bottle. So basically, the Amontillado is the wine when we extract 25% of Solera to bottle Tio Pepe, we take some part from Fino, add it into Amontillado Solera, because for those who doesn't really know sherry, every single style of the sherry has own Solera system. Solera system is the pyramid layers of the barrels leaning on top of each other, where we are moving liquid from the really upper barrel all the way down over the period of months or years. So when we extract this 100% protected wine, we take some liquid and add it into Amontillado Solera. Of course, what's happening in Amontillado Solera over the years, because of due the fact of angel share, so evaporation, the alcohol levels increasing, double floor of the yeast is dying because it's the living organism and it cannot survive forever. And once floor of the yeast died, the wine which has been protected so far start to age in contact with oxygen.
yeah.
So you in Amontillado, we always describe Amontillado, and on the bottle of Viña AB, it
It says
means
12, right?
the wine from world A and B, from those two style of the agings. Where on the nose with Amontillado, you will be still able to feel and smell acetaldehyde, those yeasty bakery notes coming from floor of the yeast.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. So we'll do the very quick. So the key to this,
Here,
it starts its life. Amontillado starts its life.
as Tio Pepe, so as a
Yep.
fino. And
And
over
then-
years, like we move the liquid to Amontillado Solera, the floor dies and wine start to age in contact with the oxygen. That's why you can see the color. It's slightly darker color.
Does the 12-year age start when you move it to the new
After
Solera
roughly
system?
4 years.
It starts after
4 or 5 years, the floors start to die and the wine start to age in contact with oxygen.
Okay,
so we
but
can say it's
the 12 years is starting at the beginning of those 4, right?
no, 12 is altogether. So basically in those 12 years, you have a 4 biological
Yep.
and 8 oxidative.
Oh, it's so good.
This is the best wine to match or pair with the artichokes or asparagus,
Yeah, I
which
can
is
get that.
really difficult stuff to match with.
Nice.
Definitely
Okay.
huge supporter of umami, savory
It's
flavors.
got
I
a lot of
love to
savory.
use it.
It's got a lot of savory notes.
Yep. I love Amontillado with tonic, for example. Tio
But
Pepe tonic or Amontillado tonic, orange, easy, go.
you can taste the woodiness as well. Like this is like this would be the wine for whiskey lovers, you know, people that
Yep,
like old whiskeys, that rancier note in a whiskey, that real woody flavor. This would be that kind of wine.
100%. Can
Oh,
you imagine, Dean, like in Jerez, we have an angel share between 4.5 to 5%, which is huge amount of the liquid goes up to
yeah,
angels each year.
that's
Yeah.
enormous. Okay, so after Amontillado, what would be the next one that you would describe to people to give them the 30-second, this is what it is?
Oloroso,
Oloroso? Okay.
yeah, which is Alfonso.
Where are you? Ooh, Oloroso. See, Oloroso, I know because Oloroso is what a lot of the whiskey producers use
Yep, and that's
to
that's
season their
actually that's
casks.
100% whiskey lover kind of sherry, because 75 80% of the whiskeys has been aged, and if they have a statement sherry finish, they mostly finished in Oloroso cask. For me, Oloroso, it's in the simplest definition, is
Oh,
wine in a sherry world. 100% with oxidate, like aging in oxidative way. So the wine aged in American oak, getting all its flavors out, changing color in contact with oxygen, 18%
yeah,
ABV.
this is much darker.
Yep. And sugar level is still around 3.5 to 4 grams of sugar per liter. So it's still super dry. You know what I like on Oloroso? Because Oloroso means nose, flavored, fragrance. So basically, Oloroso, you smell it and you have a lot of vanillin coming through, which you
Yeah,
think, oh wow,
I
something
don't know
sweet
which
is
one's
coming.
more the whiskey. This is probably more of a whiskey one.
Yeah,
It's
this is 100% whiskey style sherry, 100%.
whoa, it's big and it's bold. It's like I was thinking about this a few days ago. If the Tio Pepe is the white rum,
Yep,
that allows you to play with things with all the flavor that you would expect from a rum going into a Pina Colada to make a Pina Colada, then
yep.
today I'd like to come out knowing which one I'd swap out for something dark, and this one, like, I almost want to make an old fashioned with it and see how it comes up.
Dean, you know what is the perfect drink? I've done it. I don't know if you know Cameron Moncaster. Cameron used to work in Mandrake Hotel.
Okay.
Now he moved in Mayfair with Walter. He works in Conduit Club.
Yeah,
We did
nice.
reverse Manhattan version.
Yeah, a reverse Manhattan. I might make one now. So could
Yeah,
you run us over what? So Oloroso is from the beginning. It's Palomino grape, but from the beginning, it's oxidized throughout its whole journey, right?
correct. Because we fortified above the 16 ABV just in order to don't create any floor. So when we do second press of the grapes, we ferment it and fortify it directly to 18%. Place it in the American oak barrel, and after 8 years of the Solera system, you have a beautiful Alfonso Oloroso.
All right.
And I like the fact it's on the nose, it's give you this sensation of the sweetness coming from the American oak, a lot of vanillin. However, on the
Oops.
palate, you have this really bold, really shouldery kind of full-bodied sherry style wine.
All right. So what would you have next in our quick run through
After,
for the not doing another? Last episode I did was 1.5 hours because I
yeah.
just had so much fun. So I'm worried
I
about
after
keeping
this,
you
of
for.
course, while you're making it, of course, after this, would go for Palo Cortado just to see the difference. What is the difference between 100% oxidative way, Oloroso style, and 100% oxidative way, the mysterious wine made by
Pinot
mistake?
style.
You know?
One of the things. So I was going to say one of my favorites, other than the Tio Pepe, is it looks like this, but it's Apostles. It's the 30-year-old
Yes,
Palo
correct. Yeah, we have
Cortado.
a 30
Man,
years. Yeah, we have a VORS, very old rare sherry, and the 30 years old Apostles is just outstanding. The one which you had in
it's
your hands, it's 100% is a
Petro
Noe, which is 100% Pedro Jimenez.
Petro Jimenez. Yeah. Well, I knew that, but I still had some of that left. You see, the Apostles, the 30-year-old Palo Cortado. When
Yep.
I open that, you need to be in front of me with a glass, or it's gone. And it's really funny because the very first video I made for the Dean Callan show never made it
Yep.
onto the air. Because
But I also remember your wedding. Of course, I haven't been present, but like you and Electra, I sent you 10 bottles or
18.
what was it?
18 bottles.
18
it was 3 6
What was it?
It was
What was it?
It was 2017. It was the you sent us the Tio Pepe Fino
Uno
and Rama.
Palmas. Yes, correct.
What is the difference between the Fino and the Fino and Rama?
And Rama, basically, we launched this style of the sherry 12 years ago. It was kind of, it means unfiltered. So
Okay,
basically, we
I
try
knew there
to
was something about
unfilter,
it.
so stripe the flavors down, So basically, Fino and Rama, it's only 60 best casks out of the Gonzalez Bias each year, bottled in March when the floor of the East is in the most beautiful shape. And the Fino is the richest. We select only 60 barrels. Out of these 60 barrels, 19,000 bottles is all we do a year. Allocation only, and it's unfiltered Fino.
Well, I had honestly the best time. There's loads of photos.
Yeah.
There's loads of photos. Some photos just come out recently. We waited 3 years. We waited until our 3-year anniversary to even release any of the photos from the wedding, so that people would have nostalgia. So they'd look at it and be like, "Oh, that was such a good time." Oh man, look at this.
And I'm so thrilled. Us as a Gonzalez Bias, we could be there through Enrama,
Yeah, you had a table. There was a Gonzalez Bias table. So then the tables were all the tables were all named after the different brands that sent us wedding gifts.
Nice.
It was really nice. All right.
So tell us, what actually you've done? What did you put in?
1 part rye, 2 parts of the Alfonso, 3 dashes of bitters, and I was gonna put a twist, but I didn't have a twist here. One thing I would say, it's super dry.
Yeah,
so,
honestly, you know what I did? I did half bar spoon of agave syrup. Actually, I didn't use any sweet vermouth or so. I just put bit sweetener. So if you have agave syrup, just
I might have agave. Yeah, I do. I have everything here. This is insane. Look at that.
Yeah, I know, like, you live in literally the dream.
Yeah, it was my dream once upon a time. Now I got a new dream. This, but bigger.
So yeah, like half spoon of sweetener can just enhance and make this like mouthfeel like flavors,
Yeah, that
Because as much as we want to cut the sugars in our cocktails and beverages, sugar still need to be there because it holds the flavors, and it.
Yeah, that's really good. Reverse Manhattan. All right, that's going on the list of things.
Amazing.
Right. So, Leonoro.
So Leonoro, as I mentioned,
Leonardo.
It's supposed to be Fino. It's supposed to be Fino. However, by mistake, back in the days, we did oxidative kind of style wine, and because it's the best juice out of the grapes, we carry on the oxidative aging. Of course, now we cannot make for mistakes of our winemakers. That's why what we do first press of the grapes, so the most delicate mast, and we ferment it and fortify it directly up to 20% ABV to create oxidative kind of aging wine. So basically, juice, the body, the liquid, the soul of the Palo Cortado is the Fino. It's Tio Pepe, but aged in oxygen. Which is much more robust, spicy, playful kind of style sherry.
That's delicious. I was gonna ask how many mistakes can the winemakers make before they get fired, right? Like, is Palo
But honestly,
Cortado on its last legs?
if they do mistakes such this one, yeah, they can carry on
Oh,
because it's just beautiful.
so this to me, this is much more interesting. There's a lot more like Christmas spice. I'm getting
Yep.
like, I mean, I'm actually even getting like a deeper bitter vanilla, like
Yep.
real vanilla bean instead of the flavor that represents vanilla to people.
Yeah,
Like
which
these
which
guys,
comes with bit of bitterness, right?
yeah, and tonka beans.
Yep.
Like I'm getting those like those spices. That's really good.
And this is the funny thing. Like Palo Cortado is not easy wine to understand for non-sherry kind of lovers. However, every time I introduce Leonor to bar community, is the most wanted kind of style sherry. It's just most loved sherry because it's so much going on, and with
Um,
each sip you discover something different. Yep.
are you seeing people uptake sherry? As it, I mean, we've known each other for a long time, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
I've always thought there's going to come a time when sherry's just impossible to get a hold of. The prices skyrocket. Like I remember being able to buy Japanese whiskeys at a reasonable price, and then the
Yeah.
whole
Correct.
world jumped onto them. And I mean, how fast can you scale up production? There's gonna has it been getting more popular or?
Oof, honestly, because of course after 1980s, when all these kind of trends start to decline, I think since last 3-4 years, yeah, it's the period which I joined Gonzalez Bias, we stop kind of like declining process, and now we stabilize sherry. However, the volume wise is not bigger than it used to be, but awareness is much bigger. So
Okay.
the sherry moved from restaurants to bars, from the old grandma's houses
Yeah.
to the younger generation, and this is the future of the sherry.
And
So in
and
the
how
moment we
long
don't
ago do
see
you
the
think
higher
that happened?
volume, but
Like
yep,
how long in how many recent years has it moved to a younger generation? Do you feel?
I would say since 2016 when I joined, I said like, guys, sherry is coming back, sherry is coming back.
Yeah.
We were still skeptic, but we could really see potential. End of the 2017, 2018, we sponsored also Best 50s with the Fino, which was the first sherry company kind of like entering this such a huge bartender content. So it was this moment of 2018 when you could see the sherry is not really just favorite secret tool of bartenders like you, Eric, and such. It's actually getting popular everywhere.
Okay, great.
So hopefully with the upcoming years, yeah.
It's good to hear. It's really good to hear because I've been. I think the time I thought, right, sherry's making a comeback, is when I seen
Yep.
Tesco started to not just have a cream sherry. They had breakdowns of different sherry varieties available at Tesco. And when I seen that, I thought, the people at Tesco know, what people are looking for because they've got those big research people, right? So if they're
Yeah,
already
correct.
if they're separating out, and it's not just a British cream style, it's
Yeah.
the individual styles, and they're in the Tesco's finest range. They're small bottles, but
Yep.
that means that if they're investing in it, they must have seen a desire for it. So that's when I thought
100%. And honestly,
it's going to
all
happen.
this trend of lower ABV, lower on sugar,
Yeah.
lower on carbs help to bring the sherry back because Tio Pepe is the driest beverage you can find on the shelf. It has a maximum 1 gram of sugar per liter. You don't find basically after waters, soda waters is the driest beverage with the lowest sugar content you can find.
All right, I've done it again. We're getting distracted. People are commenting. If you can see the comments, great. Alvin says
Yep.
my two favorite people. I don't know who he's talking about. I think he's talking about Mitch and Des. Diogo has asked, Tio Pepe stays in wood butts or only inox stills? I don't know.
No, it's only American oak. We don't use
Okay.
any other oaks. It's 600-liter American oak barrel. That's it.
Okay, so that microbic part is what they call the flower in Portuguese, right? That's what he's
Yep.
saying. Very cool. And Ronan says Palo Cortado is thebomb.com.
Yep.
thebomb.com. Very cool.
I
So,
love it.
so
I
what
love
would
it.
you
I'm
do
like,
next? Would you do nectar or would you do Solera?
I would go. No, nectar. It's 100% PX. You have a
Yep.
Solera, yeah. So Solera is the
So
cream.
it's 75-25, right?
However, between Oloroso, there is also medium. Medium will be drier version of Solera.
Okay.
So medium, there is another style which is not really well known, and medium it's 87-13.
Okay, very nice. I
So
might.
87 Oloroso, 13 of PX. So how cream works? 1847 is the year which basically represents when we placed Solera system. So this methodical blending in place. Before we used to do single cask bottling. Cream means basically this: you live in the dry sherry world, you entering the sweet one. The grams of sugar, you have around 148 grams of sugar per liter. So 25% PX in Oloroso brings the level of sugar from 4 to 148.
And now
Which
we're
is
leaving the world of like kind of dryish, some oaky flavors, some Christmas spices, some vanillins, and we're heading towards raisins and dates and
100%, because
yeah, it's
who
like
doesn't know PX? PX is raisin wine,
yeah,
because we dehydrate.
you know what I think? I think
Tell me.
if you were to do like a Tales of the Cocktail and instead of rum and raisin you had Solera and raisin ice cream,
Winner. Yeah.
it'd be a winner.
You know,
Do it
Dean,
on a
what
soft
I
serve.
said very first time I've tried smell and tried Solera, I said this is premium vermouth without spices.
That's really good. I forget that because Solera used to look different, didn't it? You've
Yeah,
brought
yeah.
the bottles all in line. They all look the same now.
Solera had this red kind of big,
Yeah,
huge sign,
yeah. The
on the name,
Solera
because
looked different, and it was red, and it looked like I think the price was more affordable on Solera, right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because I bought a few bottles of Solera because it was the one where I was like, right, everyone's gonna like this. This is like not too sweet, but it's the perfect after dinner dessert. So I can give it to people and say, try this after dinner. You know, like have a piece of cake and have this. So I
Yep.
bought a lot of them as gifts.
Yeah, because if there is someone who doesn't like those bakery yeasty notes, or really dry sherry, he will 100% like the Solera.
See, maybe this is your like. I know it's not as dry and as old as that, but that in the reverse Manhattan. You know, if you've got a really dry whiskey, it might be worth trying that in the reverse Manhattan because the sweetness will balance it out.
No, like I'm using the Solera system for as a replacement for vermouth, regardless. So
Yeah,
yes, it can stand out in a wine world, or in a whiskey world, in cocktail world and such.
very cool.
And I like the fact it's still only 25% PX. So regardless, this first hint of sweetness and this raisin,
Yeah,
dates, toffee, caramel kind of flavors, you still have a long dry finish.
it's not leaving a sticky sweet finish on the
Yeah,
mouth. Really
yeah.
cool.
That that's left for nectar. Yeah.
Right. And nectar's a great name because that kind of says it tells me sweetness, and I
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So nectar, it represents what it is in a bottle. 100% PX. It's 9 years old. So what PX means, basically, Pedro Jimenez, it's still white grape. However, after hand harvest in middle of the September, we keep the grapes in the vineyards for a period of 2 weeks. The grapes turn from white grapes into raisins. Then we press them, ferment, fortified, and voila.
okay. So you're letting the grapes dry out.
Yep. So basically, what's happening during those 2 weeks of sun drying?
Oh,
You lose 40 to 60% of the water. The sugar level double up, and you turn in the white grape into raisin. That's why the color. That's why the nose,
it
and that's
it
why the sugar content.
this it smells like a grape drowned in blackstrap molasses. That's what I'm getting.
It's like molasses. It's coming right through.
Oh,
What's your guess on the level of sugar here?
brr. like 210 grams or something like that.
385.
Wow. Okay. I wasn't thinking it was quite that high. But I was getting, like, you can see the shininess. You know, as soon as you pour it, it's more viscous.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things. Like last week, I was going through all of the coffee liqueurs, and man,
Yep.
Kahlua. Do you know how much sugar is in Kahlua? Like,
But it's
wow.
funny, like with the 385 grams of sugar per liter, we don't add any other additional sweeteners or sugars, because what happened, we stop fermentation earlier in order to don't convert all the sugars into alcohol. We kill it with additional brandy,
Yep.
stop the fermentation, and replace the alcohol with real alcohol to keep natural sugars
And
inside.
you're keeping the natural sugars. Right. So
Honestly, I'm always saying bartenders use it for espresso martinis, for
that's
old
what I was about to
fashions.
say. I was about to say, after the Kahlua thing, like, use that in an espresso martini will give it a whole new
Oh yeah.
depth of flavor. I wish
For food.
I've got to move an espresso machine back out here, man.
Oh, if you have a home, blue cheese is perfect match.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, the ultimate pairing with the Pedro Jimenez is the one scoop of vanilla ice cream and just put it over. It's just sensational. Ah, you are ready with the cheese.
No, it's pineapple.
Okay, cool.
Mm.
How? But it works with pineapple as well, no?
Right, it works really well. I think that'll work with everything. So I'm gonna make another Pina Colada, but this time I'm gonna make the shaken one that Jorge makes.
Amazing.
So that was really nice, man, to have you. So I still think Tio Pepe. Let me know.
Yep.
The prices of these, right? They all vary a little bit, but Tio Pepe is your like biggest product.
It's the number one share in the world in terms of volume of the sales and the quality, because actually Tio Pepe it's the first Fino in the world which was exported out of the Spain.
Okay.
Before, and it was exported first as a first year 1851 to UK. So if you see the references of the cocktails like Bamboo, Adonis, Sherry Cobbler and such, most likely those cocktail has been made with Oloroso.
Exactly.
Because Tio Pepe was the first Fino which left the Spain.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's like when people said rye, you know, there was equal number of people saying rye as they were Canadian, and people understood Canadian whiskey to be rye. So often there was that mistake of like, well, is it Canadian or rye? Because Canadians tends to be a multigrain. The amount of rye you need in a rye whiskey in Canada is 0. Anyway.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So for me, like, what price range, if I'm buying this in a supermarket or ordering it, where can I order these from in the UK? And like, how much, whereabouts do they sit? So,
you get it from Sainsbury's, Ocado, like you get it like Fino, you get in most of the retailers. Yeah. Of course, with Waitrose, we have a special deal, so you can find our sherries under a different label. But Fino, pretty much you can get everywhere. And in this superior range which you have in front of you, you pay for it in the shop between £11 to 15.
Okay, so all of these are under £20.
Oh yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Wow.
I would say even under 17. Yeah, 100%.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool.
And can you imagine another fact which I would like to mention with the sherries? All the age statements which you have on the labels are not really relevant. The reason why we never, since 1847, we never empty our barrels. So we constantly refilling. So even in Tio Pepe, which is around 4 years old wine, you find a small percentage of the wines which are as old as 100 years old.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty special. I didn't realize that. Okay, can I ask one more question?
Yep.
This one, is that still happening?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And for me, is the best, like, is the most amazing whiskey in order of the story, because Nomad is actually really revolutionary whiskey. It's a collaboration between us and Wilder Mackay or Dalmore. It's because simply with Dalmore and Wilder Mackay, it's the longest collaboration in terms of trading the barrels. So Richard Patterson, who is the master blender for Wilder Mackay, of course, and Antonio Flores in our hands, the #1 fortified winemaker in the world, put their hands together and created this jewel.
So for me, like I went to Jerez and I checked out, like, you know, I went there to drink sherry. I'm not gonna lie. But I did find, you know, there's a bar, like a British Bulldog bar, in town. Have you been in there in a while? Right.
I haven't been in Jerez for a while, but yeah.
So when we went there, myself and my brand ambassador team, I brought them all to Jerez for their brand ambassador meeting. I got to choose where in the world it was, which obviously made it nice that it was in summertime in Jerez. But we went in there, and we're in there for, like, you know, 5 minutes, and there's a cabinet with all these vintage. There was vintage Havana clubs, right? But like they had an old vintage silver dry, right, and unopened, and I me being me, I went up and I said to them, like, and they had the 15-year-old and a whole bunch of really cool stuff, and I said to the guy, I'm like, how much for the bottle of, like, you know, silver dry, like, just so I can have a daiquiri the way I remember daiquiris being back in the day, right, before they got rid of it. And the guy's like, oh, like €40. And I was like, no. It's the vintage one in the cabinet. It's not like that one. I want the vintage one in the cabinet. And he's like, yeah, €40. And I was like, no. And I said to him, like, dude, how long have you been working here? Have they always had that? And he's like, it's my first day. So I was like, okay, call your boss. Call the owner. Ask him, what's the story? How much is this rum? So he calls the boss and he says, these guys want this, they want this silver dry. How much is it? And the boss said €35.
But it's unbelievable.
I was like, there's nothing I can do here. There's nothing more I can say. There's nothing more I can do. I had to have it. But actually, when we as whiskey guys, because we were all working for Monkey Shoulder at the time, as whiskey guys, it was brilliant to get to learn about sherry casks, to get to learn about where, you know, effectively most of the sherry casks that whiskey are using go to become vinegar. That sherry does not become this, right? So people assume, I think, in a lot of the world, when people say sherry cask, they think immediately European oak, which is not always true. Sherry casks are made from American oak. But further to that, they assume that the sherry that they're drinking, their Palo Cortado, you know, that cask might be in their Macallan, right?
Yeah.
But they're two totally different things. It's the sherry gets dumped in there for 6 months and then pulled out, and then that cask goes off, right? And then the same sherry goes back in another one. So you can imagine, like, it's one cask is going to have a different impact because brand new oak, American oak, which has been heavily charred, on after 6 months, it's that whatever went in there is going to be unrecognizable, right? But the first time the first time I tasted a whiskey that tasted like it had really sat in a sherry cask was that. So that blew us all away, man. It tastes like there's sherry in it. It tastes like sherry. Like
it is because it's so soaked full of sherries. And the problem with Nomad is, of course, is a lonely soldier in the whiskey world. If you know what I mean, like every single whiskey has a range, has a huge name behind. If you come from the sherry world and you try to bring the whiskey, people are like, what is this?
Is it doing well?
It's doing well in of course we launched it in Taiwan, which was it's our #1 market. In Taiwan.
Okay, Taiwan. All right.
Yeah, Taiwan is huge on whiskey, so it's doing well there. It's doing well in Asia, in European countries here and there. But also, I'm waiting for another expression to have it next to it, just in order to bring the importance of the Nomad as a whiskey category.
I'm amazed that there isn't more of a buzz about it within the whiskey world. Because all my guys that when we went to Jerez, we left knowing that stuff was special, you know. And I'm not gonna
Yep.
lie, I thought it might have been a very limited release, which is why I bought a few bottles just in case.
No, the problem is like people ask, what's the Nomad? Is it a blend or single malt? I'm like, it's a blended whiskey, but as soon as you say blended, I say, oh no, thank you very much. I'm like, guys, come on.
Yeah, but they're
Come on.
amateurs then. Like everything's
Yeah.
blended. Like unless it says single barrel, it's blended.
Yep.
All right, so whoop. This is going to be Jorge's, the actual Spanish recipe. So for him, and I'm gonna make sure I get this right. You know the drink you were tasting in the little olive oil cans.
Yep.
So his is 45 Fino, 30 cocoa cream, 2 dashes of Angostura, 1 dash of lime juice or a squeeze of lime juice, and 1 pinch of Maldon salt.
Yep.
So that's his version of the Pina Colada, which is basically the same as what I was making, just a little less messing around, you know?
Oh yes.
Oh,
Nice. I just wish to be there with you, honestly. Like you could carry on mixing, I would carry on drinking.
Next time you come to London, please come here, right? Because you know the whole idea of the show, like you see this, right? All these different angles.
Yep.
Right. So I bought a lot of equipment with lots of different angles and lots of cameras and different lenses. And the idea is, if you sit here, there'll be a one on you, and then there's another one on the next person, and we'd be able to have a party, but make a show of it, you know, like a talk show, but in a bar.
Dean, I promise you, as soon as there will be no 2 weeks quarantine, so I can fly to London, I'll bring you something special because I saw another session you've done on brandies, and we have, of course, also beautiful Spanish brandies.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. So Diogo asked, "Do you make your own brandy?" Right. I'm gonna add it to the feed.
Yep.
You make your own
so
brandy.
we have 2 brandies. We have a one Soberano, which is basically the Spanish style column still, really nice, light and easy, beautiful stuff. And then we have a brandy de Jerez, which of course is the originated in Jerez. We make it on Palomino Fino grapes. We age it in Solera system, and we have a great brand called Lepanto. It's 100% made brandy de Jerez, aged in 3 kind of barrels: Tío Pepe or Fino, then Oloroso and Pedro Jimenez. 12 years old, Gran Reservas, beautiful style sherries. It's called Lepanto.
Lepanto. Okay, I'll get it. So we got, Ronan says that they're all super available, super affordable. I don't know why, but Mitch has asked, where did the name come from? Nomad. It must be Nomad. I'm guessing it's nomadic, right? It's traveled.
It's a travel because, of course, we blending and double aging the whiskey in Scotland under the umbrella of Wilde Mackay. And in the last stage, we bring it to Jerez, where in 1 year we age it in ex Pedro Jimenez cask in our cellars in Jerez. And this movement of the liquid between Scotland and Spain, of course, we cover it with umbrella of Nomad. And it's not Spanish either, or neither Scottish whiskey. It's Outland whiskey. So we had to create special category because we changed the rules in the whiskey world. And Nomad, it's the Outland representative of traveling whiskey.
Can I ask? I just finished very quickly the Pina Colada from Jorge in Barcelona. So have you been to his bar yet?
Not yet. I'm supposed to go we were talking. I think I was in Australia. It was a February, and I supposed to go in March and to throw the party, to do some master class and do some super cool Pina Colada fun. However, my last trip, like my last day in Dubai, my bosses called me, you have to come back. And since then,
You-
I literally end up as we all did.
So when everything's back happening again, right, and everything's moving, can I come with you when you do go there? Because I haven't been there, and I think it'd be great if we both just rocked up and
Bro,
rocked it
you and
out.
me behind the bar, you throw in the
Yeah,
Pina Coladas, done. Okay,
like
let's do
old
it.
times.
Because I love Barcelona. I haven't been there a while. Of course, always spending my time outside of the Spain. But with you, anytime,
I'm there. All
anytime.
right, it's a
I think
deal.
you, me, and Jorge, it's just
It might be a bit
fun.
dangerous. It might be a bit dangerous. It might be. It might. The guys from Two Schmucks might be like, "Oh shit, what is going on over there?" Actually, we'd invite them, right? They'd have to turn up and party. It'd be loads of fun. So
Honestly,
cool.
the Tushmarks Mo, the Tushmarks, they do a lot with our sherries. Of course, the guys from Paradiso as well as Dr. Stravinsky, all Barcelona, the Spain live with the sherries, and it's nice to again because honestly, the sherry even in Spain with older generation was kind of like forgotten. Of course, it's a huge wine
Mm.
country, but the sherry, apart of the Andalusia, you don't see it much. But now through the cocktail culture in the cities such as Barcelona or Madrid, the sherry is coming back in Spain in its homeland.
That's insane. So I truly hope that as much as bartenders bring it back, it doesn't then become out like too expensive for bartenders to drink, right? Just don't get the
I
billionaires involved.
I hope not. I was throwing the same questions to our owners to Gonzalez family. I don't see it because anyway, with the highest peak when the sherry was like superhero of the beverage world in 80s 90s, it was still every company, every producer of the sherry was able to produce enough sherry. So I don't
Yeah,
see the problem. And still, you will not buy, even if the volume increase, you will not buy a lower quality just because it's been aged in solar system. So there
the
is a,
system, the structure is such that you can't really.
yeah,
There's too many control points at play. All right, cool.
yeah.
All right, well, look, man, thank you so much for your time. I've had you on
Thank you
almost an
for having me.
hour now. I was trying to. That's why I said let's do that 1 minute quick explanation. But I mean, I'm
No,
terrible at
honestly,
that.
honestly, to have you making great cocktails, even though when I cannot try it, it's absolutely amazing. When you asked me to join you, it was the thrilled. And again, we just done great session. I
Yeah,
think we have a good trip ahead in Barcelona, and we
I
throw
can't
in the
wait for
party in
that.
Perdita and such.
I need to get back to Barcelona for so many reasons. Like so many reasons. Like my favorite
Cool.
restaurant is there. Um, my favorite hot sauce, you can only buy it in Barcelona. I did get the recipe though. It's top secret, top secret. And
Yep.
I actually can't wait to see Jorge's bar. Like to me, when he was a brand ambassador, I was like, he's someone that needs to go like back to the bar industry because he's just such a big personality. We
Oh
need
yeah.
more of that. So it's good to know that he's back. And any excuse, really. Again, thank you so much, man. I'll let you sign off. I'll close out the show. We got one last
Perfect.
question. Do you
Yep.
recommend any sherry books, or do you have any trips in Jerez for professionals slash bartenders? Like,
100% like there is a many tours in a Jerez. I think one of I'm not gonna promote my just my company. There are many good wineries to visit. However, Bodegas Tio Pepe is most visited winery in Europe.
it's
It's for
amazing.
reason. So go there because it's just outstanding. Even myself, I've been working for a company for 4 years. Each time I go back to Jerez, I'm like mind blown. In terms of books, hit me up on Boris Ivan Facebook. I can write you guys book. I would go for really another 20 minutes to recommend good sherry books because there are plenty. Hit me up on my messenger or on my thing. I will reply you, or I can reply
Amazing.
you as a comments
I'll try
on
to
Dean's
tag
show.
you. I'll try to tag you in the comments.
Perfect. So I will definitely come back to comments as well, because if we would go through every single question, we would spend here another couple of hours,
Right.
which we don't want. I will definitely come back to comments later. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, brother. And
Thank you so much,
speak
bro.
soon. Ciao.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the sherries.
I will. I'm definitely gonna
Ciao,
enjoy
ciao.
those. How do I do this? Come on, buddy. Come on. There we go. He's so good. All right. So back to this view. Now I'm amazed at just how carried away I get when I start chatting to people. But without further ado, Mitch, Oh No Bushel, episode 104. We got Mitch's minute back.
How good is sherry? Oh, sherry. It's great. It's great. It's the best thing that nobody drinks. It's like it's like how your parents had to sneak your antibiotics things, or like I have to sneak antibiotics into my dog, named Amontillado. I sneak Manzanilla into the Palomas that we make. We have Amontillado in the Bloody Marys that we make. I love using Pina Colada for its fucking high acid in place of citrus. I have another dog on the way that we haven't got to meet yet, but we intend to name him Fino. Yeah, I fucking love sherry. It's delicious, and you would think that with everybody so hyped on natural wine, that things like that around TS6 and whatnot would be more popular, but I think the name sherry hurts.
Right, and that is the end of the What is Sherry episode. I guess, honestly, I hope that helped. Ultimately, sherry is a wine that has been fortified a bit. And in the case of this guy, it hasn't touched air at all. It's been protected by a layer of positive bacteria called a floor. But really, if you're a bartender, drink more sherry, promote more sherry, get more sherry in your drinks, in your life. It's so good. It's level of complexity, the depth of flavor in it, the fact that it's fortified so it'll last that extra bit longer just lends it so well to cocktails. You're missing a beat if you're not already using it. And as Boris pointed out, the bartending community picking sherry back up again has helped introduce it to people, because ultimately bartending is a community thing. People come into your bar, you have a duty of care to take care of them. You're effectively creating and nurturing a community in there. And if you're introducing them to new things, those new things, spread, and they'll introduce new people. So get on the sherry bandwagon, start promoting it. It's just so good. I mean, I don't want to waste these, so I'm just going to close out the show by finishing all these. And for the eagle-eyed people that are watching, I already finished the last ones. I just poured them again really quickly while Mitch was doing his 1 minute. Just going to stress my wife out. But I'm still going to be fine. It's going to be fine. I'd just like to close by saying that low ABV, high flavor. So if you want to get onto that low ABV, high flavor trend, this is what you need. Anyway, until Friday.
You ordered what?